Hello, this is Sienda again. Happy New Year, first of all. And I'm excited to share with you a book that I just finished yesterday, and I think I read it in one sitting. And I will probably say that if you're going to start off this year and one of your resolutions is to read something good, then this book is definitely the one to start with. It was given to me by a friend in Swaziland that recommended it to me, by the way, without mentioning that about 10% of the book is in Spanish. But I think that if you have the patience, you can overcome that little thing. And I ended up really enjoying this book so much that when I finished it, I actually considered reading it again, and I actually started to read a little bit of it before I had to come back home. So, the book that I'm reviewing today is by Junot Diaz, who is a New Yorker, I think, and is a Dominican Republican man that wrote one of the best books that I've ever read. So, this is The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wao by Junot Diaz. Wonderful. Especially if you're reading it as a writer of some kind and you're just trying to get your writing to improve, or anything like that. This is a really good book to be reading at the moment. If you are just a person that reads for entertainment, you will also absolutely love this book because it weaves such an interesting, dynamic, full and dense story that is just unparalleled as of now, I guess. Anyway, this book follows the kind of upbringing of Oscar de Leon, who is a chubby little Dominican Republican boy that grows up and doesn't have any luck absolutely with the ladies, simply because he is not what the writer continually describes as Dominican, or typical Dominican, which is I guess a suave and charming man that can get any woman he wants, I think. And Oscar is none of those things. He's a huge nerd, is into the Lord of the Rings and whatever predates that in the 70s and 80s, because it's set quite some time back. Now, that is basically kind of the surface of the story, I think, but it goes so deep to the point that you as the reader are transported throughout several eras. You're transported from Oscar's era, which is 70s, 80s, 90s, back and forth to 1930s Dominican Republic, all the way to modern day New York, and you learn so much, especially if you really like to read, to learn and hear stories from other countries. You absolutely love this, because I learned so much about the Dominican Republic that I honestly don't think I would have found out if I had not read this book. So the surface is Oscar's story, and beneath it is Oscar's mother's story, and the third person whose story is also told is the sister of Oscar, the daughter of Oscar's mom, Bellissimo, I think, de Leon, and Lola, his sister de Leon. So Lola also has a short kind of brief appearance in the book as a narrator, so telling her side of the story. And it's so interesting because when you get to find out her mom's side of the story, especially since they clash so much as Lola grows up, you start to realize some of the parallels between mother and daughter. And what explains this, interestingly enough, and this is how the book starts, and I knew that I was absolutely going to love it. It starts off by explaining a concept called faku, I think, which is the Dominican Republican word, I think, for family curse. And apparently, according to the author, you can't really trace the kind of history of the word, but he seems to think that it has something to do with Truchijo. I think, am I saying that right? Which was a huge a dictator in the Dominican Republic that ruled from 1930 to 1961 brutally, and killed about 20, 30, 50,000 Dominican Republicans as well as Haitians under his reign. So it's a really interesting story, especially about the link to the faku, is that it's believed to be a family curse, and it's believed to run in Oscar's family, in the Leon family. It's believed to have started with Oscar's maternal grandfather and going down all the way to Oscar's, which is how the book ends, is when he kind of starts to really believe that he is cursed and take steps to lift the curse. So when you're reading the story, you are really reading kind of the history in a way of the Dominican Republic, especially in the era of Trujillo. Am I saying it right? Probably not. And you would really, really enjoy that, especially if you're into like supernatural stuff and kind of superstitions that have something to do with, kind of like third world countries and things like that. I was especially interested, obviously, and the way that it's narrated, which is I think my favorite thing, is it's narrated by, you find out later, by Lola's boyfriend, who she has briefly in the 90s, I think, and he has this kind of like chilled but very, very smart, obviously I think that's Junot's own and mastery of the language coming through, mode of speaking and mode of kind of telling the story, I think is what I want to say. And so he's very like relaxed, and there's a lot of cuss words. It's very rhythmic, and it's almost at some points it reads like a poem or like a rap song or something like that, and it's really, 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 really engulfing and really, really intoxicating. I don't know, it's intoxicating, hypnotizing. Like I really couldn't get my eyes off it, and I was in a bus when I was reading it actually, and I remember someone wanted to talk to me, and I was just like, no, I'm reading this book. So I don't know if I've said enough. I especially enjoyed it because I think I identified with almost every character in the book in one way or another, and I found that the story so intellectually stimulating, spiritually stimulating, and it felt it did what I believe fiction should do, which is to be like, the blood in an artery, like, to pump some sort of energy and excitement and interest and real kind of meaning into how you view the book and how you view yourself. So if you're into that kind of thing, I really recommend that you get this book, and I hope that this review has been extensive without giving too much away, because a lot of the book comes with you discovering for yourself as a reader, especially since you know how if you see my reviews, then you know how I approach books. I generally start a book that I have no idea what it's about, and I just read it based on kind of the reputation that perhaps the writer has. And yeah, so if you really like this book, I will leave a link to the Amazon page below, then you can check out the reviews. You can also buy the book, I guess, if you're interested in it, but I really, really recommend that this be the first book that you buy in 2014. And I think I will be reading his second book, because this is his first novel. The book before that was called Drown, and was a collection of short stories that won this is the one I think that won a Pulitzer Prize. And then the third one is called How You Lose Her, and I will be reading that in the next few weeks and tell you all about that. So I hope that you've enjoyed this review, and I hope that if you have any questions, then you'll leave them in the comment section, or tweet me or email me or anything, and I can tell you for hours and hours about how amazing this book is. Follow me at Sianda Writes, and you can follow my website as well, because that's where I post this a bit more regularly. So siandawrites.com, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good New Year's Day. Bye.